Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another Transformers review. This time we're looking at the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition 05? War for Cybertron / Fall of Cybertron Cliffjumper. He transforms into a Cybertronian car, which is reminiscent of a Beetle, I suppose, because he is just a repaint of Bumblebee with a new head, because of course he is, he usually always is, apart from in Transformers Prime and Energon. It's a lovely, lovely vehicle mode. It comes together really, really nicely, and you could easily mistake it for a computer mouse. I am not the first YouTuber to make that joke. Primary colour, red of course, it's Cliff, with a nearly invisible Autobot symbol on the front there, black being the secondary. Rolls pretty nicely, I must say, even with all of the weapons attached to him. And let's just talk about that right now. So accessory wise, he comes with 3 different things. He's got whatever that is. He's got a sword, and then underneath he's got a gun, which I don't know if this is meant to be his glass cannon or something, but here is the example of how you can store them. Now, they're pretty modular. You can change them all around, so you can have the sword up there, you can have the sword underneath, you can have the gun everywhere. This big thing though, the only place you can't really put it is underneath, because then it'll stop him rolling. You have that there, and it hides his face, which leads us on to what becomes what. So his head is actually visible right through there. Arms make the size of a car. The feet are quite well hidden, and the engineering on the legs is pretty interesting. Strange though. Coming down to transformation, I'm not going to lie, I don't particularly like it. This figure has a problem where his backpack falls off like ironhide. So I'm going to take all of this off, and you see it's already wanting to untab. Let's just peekaboo, there's his head. Right, so yeah, untap all of this for a start. Be very careful with it. Let's just bring it up like that, and then we can double hinge it just like that. And then we're going to come to the sides here. We're going to untab these panels. And at this stage, we're going to take the feet. We're going to flick the heels down like this. Because if you don't do it now, then it's actually going to clash and just stop you actually completing the leg transformation when you get it all straightened out. So bring all of that out and down like this. You might as well take these flaps now, these strange flaps, for the purpose of which I don't know what they serve, and just pop them around like that. And then with these, we're going to extend them out like this, and then we're going to bring them down like this, tap them into the sides of the legs. That's interesting actually. I will credit this figure. Bring the waist down like this, rotate the waist like this. I will comment on this in a little while. He's actually behaving, surprisingly, so I'm fearful of the next steps, to be honest. No, there we go, he proved me right. Try and get the backpack up like that just for the sake of some clearance. Take the front panel, flip it up like this, because that will allow his head to poke through in a moment. With the arms, you're going to just unslot them there, and you are hopefully, I can see how this is going to go wrong, keep that out, bring the arms around like that. That's the second time now that I've popped his shoulder off. Rotate that, rotate the wheel up, and unfold the fist, get that into position, and then with the shoulder pad, bring it down like that. And same again on this side, so we're just going to rotate all of this out. I'm going to try and shimmy that past for hey. He's behaving. Bring that down like that. And bring the torso, well actually before we do anything like that, if these side wheel arches haven't collapsed already, maybe collapse them in at this point, I think. While he's still like this, ignore the last half a minute of this video because it's just gone off the rails. Take the flap, knock his backpack off, and then with like skids and mud flap, you want to be kind of pushing that panel back through. It makes a very ugly crunching sound, but it's what you've got to do. And you've got to fold it like that. And you're just going to bring this forward. His head is freaking stuck again. How does that keep happening? Make sure those arches are in. Bring the chest forward, snap it into place. Bring that shoulder pad down. pop your Cliffjumper there, and then throw this in the goddamn bin. If you are so inclined to reattach it, just friction clip it back on there, maybe, and just run away, because that's him done. So Cliffjumper in robot mode, it's fine, it's interesting, it's fairly faithful to how he looks in Fall of Cybertron. And I suppose for DS War for Cybertron, I don't know, I've never played it, apparently he's in that though. The big criticism of the figure that many people have is he be fat. He got a beer belly, and don't quite know if that's intentional. It's not too terrible in person, to be honest, but it is there. It's passable, it's fine. From certain angles it looks better than it does in others. Boop. Short and stocky, as you would expect of Cliffjumper. His head sculpt, to be more in line with Transformers Prime, is more reminiscent of how he looks in Prime rather than G1, which the games take more inspiration from, to be honest. G1 rather than Prime. Pretty good arms, like the way that this is sculpted. It's quite seamless, even though that is very clearly a different shade of red from that. Now the legs, okay, so this is the strange part of the figure, because, I mean, we'll cover articulation in a second, but the ankle tilt goes the wrong way, and I don't think a lot of people are particularly fond of how these legs are constructed, because the wheels, number one, are meant to be dead centre of the shin area. The original version of this guy pulled that off from way back in the day, and this for some reason doesn't, and I wonder if that's the existence of these flaps, if that's why they're there, to kind of sort of simulate that. It fails spectacularly, but yeah, just articulation wise, having a reverse ankle tilt like that is very puzzling. But many people have found a solution. Slightly disconnect him at the waist, just like that. Rotate the waist 180 degrees, snap it back in, and then rotate the legs at the thighs 180 as well. And not only does that actually look better, but then you've got a proper ankle tilt. The only sacrifice is the crotch. And yeah, I don't know what can be done about that per se. Whether you could maybe pull his legs off. Continuing on with just the analysis, you know, kibble-wise, he's got a few panels there, but otherwise he's pretty darn clean. So it's an interesting robot mode. Now returning to the accessories, so Cliff has a sword, which he can hold just like that. Gets in there really tightly. You can plug the sword into this. Don't know why. Just like Optimus, he has a removable arm gimmick, which I don't particularly like. His arm is set in a lot, you know, sturdier than Optimus is. It's gotten really loose and got loose very, very quickly. But you can cut his arm off, and then you can take his gun and you can bash that in there. I still hate it. I don't like the removable arm thing because it just makes him look too skinny. And then of course you can still store all the weapons on the back at your leisure. Coming down to articulation then, Cliffjumper's head can rotate that far that way and that far that way. The shoulders, the ball joints, 360. Can move them out that far, roughly. At the elbow, you've got about a 90-degree bend, then nothing at the fists due to transformation. At the waist, if you disconnect that front piece, then yeah, you've got a little bit of waist swivel that it's capable of. Great forward kick, great back kick, and a decent spread. At the thighs, he's got 360 due to a mushroom peg. At the knees, he's got just over 90-degree bend. And then at the ankles, if you mistransform him, then he's got the ankle tiltage. If you have him the correct way, it's peculiar. And then there's a little bit of up and down wiggle waggle for the toes, which I mistakenly call the heels in both transformation sequences, I am sure. Overall articulation's fine. It's not great. He's missing a few things, I'd say, and the ankle thing is weird. So yeah, he could be better, to be honest. For comparisons then, here he is with Prime First Edition Cliffjumper. Here he is with Prime RID Cliffjumper. Here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee movie Ironhide. Here he is with Studio Series Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Optimus, and yes, he can wield his gun. And then Titanium Man and Mysterio for good measure. Okay folks, so to transform Cliffjumper back into vehicle mode, it ain't fun. What we're going to do is remove all of his weapons if you haven't done so already, and then take his hands, we're going to bend them in, like this. And then we're going to rotate the wheels round so that they are then facing that way. And then let's see. So I'm going to untap his chest, his potbelly chest from his inner torso. And then I'm going to question all my life choices as I flip all of this up. Now, inevitably, the thing that's going to happen is his backpack is going to come off at some point and I'm going to lose my rag. Because I hate the way it's constructed. Anyway, now that we've got this up, we're going to take this opportunity to poke this flap past his head and back through. So there's no better time to do it. And we're going to take these side arches and we're going to pull them out like that. And then with his arms, basically you're going to do an Optimus Prime with them. So you want to bend them at the elbows. With the shoulder pads, you actually want to be flicking them up, so like that. And then Optimus Prime his arms back. Once you bring that down, so shoulders back and arms should slot reasonably satisfyingly into those grooves, like just like that. So second verse, same as the first. That's not what I was expecting to happen. Bring his arm and nice and neatly tap it in. Okay, so we've got the front end of a Cybertronian car sorted. So now comes the pain. With this on the back here, untab it. Mine seems to be the only copy where this is a problem. And he's going to prove me wrong now, isn't he, by actually behaving on camera. Rotate him 180 at the waist. You'll notice that I did have it in the actual official configuration for this. And then, so all of this is too high up at the minute, so I want to be bringing it down. I'm going to, against my better judgment, decide to hinge this stuff back because we want to kind of collapse. It's not too far because I poked his head through the flipping flap, which you need to kind of squeeze into place. With the legs, it's very confusing, really. I'm going to untap them like this. Then we're going to bring it all forward like this and just try to get it in. This front tab, this doesn't like to stay down either. I hate it. Tab that in like that. I'm going to leave the feet as they are just for a moment until I get this leg into place. I'm not particularly happy with how that lines up, but you kind of just got to make do with what you got, and it's a bad deal either way. And I'm popping the front tyres out. Magically, it's managed to stay on thus far. I don't quite know how this has happened, but I'm going to now with the feet. So take these flaps here. I'm going to move them. I want to say move them in at this point. I'm legitimately not sure though. Then I'm going to, I suppose, slide these in. It's getting caught on something. Okay, yeah. So far so good. And then with the heels, tap them like that. And then, lo and behold, oh my god, it's actually stayed on. So you clip all of that in like that and just squeezing it all together. There you go, folks. Cliffjumper back in vehicle mode without incident. Hooray, huzzah. So there we go then. War for Cybertron Cliffjumper from Studio Series. He's an odd one. He is, because he does some interesting things, but he's got a lot of stuff that I find annoying. And honestly, like that backpack transformation, you know, just despite the reverse transformation actually going surprisingly smoothly, more often than not, it's a pain in the arse, and it does actually make him not very enjoyable to transform back and forth. Great vehicle mode. Robot mode is so-so. It's missing some basic articulation points of a modern era, and I'm not overly impressed by him, to be honest. Would I recommend him? Not really. He's not great to pose, really. He's not amazing. I'm not sure that he meets my personal standards of what makes a good transformer. So yeah, Cliffjumper, maybe skip. Anyway, thank you everybody so much for stopping by checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until next time, see y'all later.